On the field. Let me turn first to you, George Frazier. I want to talk about some of the pitchers that made an impact this year. And first, I think on all of our minds would be Chad Bettis.
No question Chad Bettis has. And I think what happened, I think back to last year where it wasn't good, trying to overpower everybody. And what Chad did, he went back to being a pitcher, elevate the fastball, utilize a good breaking ball, allow the defense to play, realized I don't have to strike out everybody. I can make pitches and work my way through innings, and I can have success at this level. And I think that's the biggest thing that comes out of me is how he has become a professional, wearing the uniform in preparation in between every single start. That's the biggest thing I've noticed in him. The stuff has always been there. It's the belief in the stuff. And you know that's difficult to, you just don't acquire that overnight at the big league level. That's a rarity to go get, but he's gotten it now.
Well, I'm glad you finished up with that point because Chris Russin is not a lot older, but a little bit older, a little bit more experienced than Chad Bettis, and he made some strides this year also. He may not, Jeff, have the same stuff that Chad Bettis has, but boy, he's got the same competitive level.
And some moxie to him. I think that's the thing for Chris Russin because he is not an overpowering pitcher. He had 20 starts when he was with the Cubs, and today will be his 22nd start for the Rockies. But he had two performances this year, one against San Diego where he threw that complete game shutout in Coors Field, so you know he has it. And then a couple starts later, he followed it up against the Giants where he had another complete game. So Chris, it's been some up and down for him, but it's still a case where he's made a strong case for himself to be in the starting rotation next year.
Well, you know, the other thing for me with Chris, did he ever get his true fair chance with the Chicago Cubs?
True.
He didn't. And because of injuries here, he got that chance. And he took advantage of it. He finally, somebody said, yeah, he doesn't throw 100, doesn't have the big cutter, doesn't have this. But what he does have is this. And he takes the mound with this, and he knows it, and he's going to go as long and as hard as he can and get into the deep part of the ballgame as he can. But the fact is, we gave him a chance. And when the Rockies gave him that chance, he took advantage of it.
Well, every person who works in personnel, whether it be in this sport or in football or basketball or hockey, whatever the sport is, you can usually define a lot of the tangible things. What they're still looking for is what's in here. And when you find a guy that's got it in here, it really makes you smile because it gives that guy a chance.
There's never a box when you're looking at a scouting report that says heart. Everything's about his arm speed, his arm action. Does the ball move? Does it cut? What kind of pitches does he have? But you can't take that uniform off and see what he has inside. And I think Chris Russin's one of those guys that he has the mound presence. Whatever you were talking about for a starting pitcher out there, he has it. And it never really seems like he gets rattled no matter how bad things might go. Got three guys on, you know, the crowd screaming. You couldn't tell it from Chris's reaction.
No, and the guy in the background who they're honoring right now, who had a marvelous career, Tim Hudson, won over 200 ball games. Stuff wasn't alarmingly great, but he had mound presence, and he had a lot of character and a lot of heart. We'll come back. We'll have baseball in a short while. The Rockies and Giants, Colorado trying to make it two straight here in San Francisco on the final weekend of the regular season. Come on back to AT&T Park with us. Welcome to another beautiful day in San Francisco. Final weekend of the 2000.
Whoa. We will take over from here, as this is a day where we honor the departure of George Frazier. Mike, you got anything to say about George?
Well, he's a 10-year veteran. Now, we respect that. But 2 years of his 10-year career at the big leagues, he had more hit batsmen than he had hits allowed. That's impressive. But look about this. 10 years in the big leagues, 5 different teams. That means every 2 years a team got tired of his tired stories, and he had to move on.
19 years of old, tired stories. I do want to say this to all Rockies fans. This offseason, save your money. You need to go out and you need to get Ambien. You need to get some edibles, because now you don't have George Frazier to put you to sleep at night. You don't. Although, I guess they still have Drew.
George, you're a class act. You played it with class. You broadcasted it with class, and we're going to miss you. Best of everything to you in your retirement.
George, anytime a guy can spend as much time in one town as you have and spread as much good cheer as you have, it's going to be great for you to retire, and Rocky fans are going to miss you. Plus, as far as putting people to sleep, Spilbores in Houston, they'll take over that role. Not a problem. All right, you guys can have your show back. We're done.
Now's where we get to respond.
Right.
Can we infiltrate their open as well?
Oh, my God.
We got a lot of dirt on Kuiper and Krukow.
Classic. I could go on for days, just so you know. I could go on for days. How many at-bats did Kuiper have before he got a home run, Dougie? He had one. Like 8,000 at-bats or something. I think Krukow had more than he did. Well, I know he did. And he had a lot of other things. Well, that's neat. I appreciate that. That was great. Two good friends of mine in the game that played against him for a long time, and spent a lot of time with him, and spent a lot of time out in the broadcast area with him. So they're good guys.
They're two of our favorites in the business, but there will, payback.
It will come. Don't worry about that.
Absolutely, payback will come.
I think Krukow said something about he was quitting in a couple of years. So 2 years you can come back and roast him. Call me. I won't look the same.
We'll fly you in for that one.
No. I'll just send it to you.
There you go. We'll come back. Baseball will be next. Rockies and Giants on a Saturday afternoon in the beautiful Bay Area. By your hometown Toyota stores, Toyota Let's Go Places. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. A view from McCovey Cove back inside AT&T Park on this Saturday afternoon. We're actually getting off to a much later start than anticipated. Supposed to have first pitch at 1:20. It's not going to come till well after 1:30. The ceremony honoring Tim Hudson went a little bit long, so the players now just getting back into the dugout. And they'll re-stretch, re-toss a little bit, and then head back out onto the field to prepare. So we're a few minutes away from first pitch this afternoon. Jake Peavy will go for San Francisco, as we chatted about. Chris Russin will go for the Rockies. Colorado 5-2 this year at AT&T Park. Back in a moment. Rockies come in 67-93. The Giants, the defending world champs, are 83-77. Christian Adames is going to lead things off this afternoon for the Rockies. He's at shortstop for Jose Reyes. Here's the Southwest batting order for Walt Weiss. Book your low fare now on southwest.com. Corey Dickerson, he'll be in center field. He'll bat second. Nolan Arenado next. Cargo with 97 RBIs, looking for 3 more. Justin Morneau will bat fifth. DJ LeMahieu in the lineup again. He's at 302. Ben Paulson will bat seventh. He's playing left field. Tom Murphy's doing the catching, and we're ready for baseball. Here is Jake Peavy, and the first pitch is in there for a strike. Peavy making his 19th start, and I'll tell you what, he has thrown the baseball over his last 4 outings better than he has not only all this year, but maybe better than we've seen him in several years.
Last 7, 4-0. That's how good he's been. Earned run average of 2.68 over that time frame. You wonder why the Giants went out and signed him in his career. 16-9 in his career at AT&T Park with a 3.19 earned run average.
Well, his last 4 outings, he's allowed only 4 runs in 26 innings, Huey, and only 16 hits. That's the kind of that's the Jake Peavy when he was winning a Cy Young Award and going to All-Star games.
Yeah, 3-time All-Star, 2007 Cy Young Award winner. But this is Jake Peavy still knows how to pitch. Doesn't have that electric fastball that he had, not the jump off the mound, but still a veteran presence there. Kind of wondering how he was going to react coming out here today after just giving a speech for Tim Hudson and, kind of interrupting his flow of how he gets ready for a game.
Yeah, a little bit different. In the middle of it, walked down, put his glove on the mound, walked down here, gave the speech, went down through a few more, and let's play baseball.
Yeah, he's got some old school in him, though.
Well, he's the kind of guy that, okay, I'll go out and throw change-ups, I'll throw a few cutters, get the ball on the ground, I'm not going to worry about it. 146 wins in his illustrious career. He and Roy Oswalt were very, very close friends. Roy used to pitch.
Well, he's from the
With
same.
him.
He's
Yeah.
from the same part of the
Deer
world.
Ranches.
He's from the same part of the world as the guy he was honoring today, Tim Hudson. 2-2. And that's fouled off.
I see the 92-mile-an-hour fastball. He can still go get a little velocity if he wants to. He started out at 88.
Christian Adames battling away. Rockies with a blowout victory yesterday. You don't get many of those here. 9-3. And he misses with the slider, and it's 3-2. Rockies, by virtue of their victory yesterday, have guaranteed that they're going to win the season series again against the Giants. 10-7 this year, and the foul tip was held by Trevor Brown. Here are the Giants defensively this afternoon. Mac Williamson is in left field. Angel Pagan in center field. Marlon Berg getting the start in right field. Duffy, the very good-looking rookie out of Long Beach State, he's at third. Brandon Crawford, an all-star at shortstop. Kelby Tomlinson out of Texas Tech at second base. Kevin Franson, he's battled a lot of injuries, but he's a survivor. He's at first base. And Trevor Brown, as we mentioned, is doing the catching. Here's Corey Dickerson yesterday at a 2-run home run to straightaway center field. He's hitting .350 over his last 10 ball games. 68 degrees on a marvelous Saturday here in San Francisco.
Just nice looking out over the bay, seeing all the sailboats.
It's just perfect. I mean, in a word, you can't do any better than what you have going right now. Temperature, not a cloud in the sky. Dickerson with a big swing on a 2-0 pitch, and it's 2-1.
Got a pretty good fastball to swing at from Peavy. He was trying to hit it out there on one of those sailboats.
See, I never understood this, George. It used to be back in the day.
Why pitchers do you keep bringing up back in the day?
Well,
are you insinuating?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Pitchers would get upset if you took too big a hack.
I was thinking the same thing.
Why is that? Is his job not to try to hit the ball a mile?
Yeah, you hit it a mile, but don't try to embarrass everybody.
Well, but I don't understand that. If you're taking
that's kind of like nobody. Swing, that's kind of like nobody like Joaquin Andujar. You're a little young, but he used to shoot him. I pull his pistol out and shoot you when he'd strike you out. They'll allow you to go sit down.
No, that's different. It'd be what you're talking about is after something occurred. It'd be like a hitter pimping it for a long time after hitting a home run. I'm talking about he
big
took
swings.
He swung and missed.
I know, big
or he
swings.
swung and he fouled it back. I've never understood that thought.
Well, here's the thing about it. I look at it from this perspective. If they're taking the big swings and they're airmailing it everywhere and they're kicking my rear end, then somebody's going to bite a bullet. I'm not going to allow you to just stand up here and get comfortable and take big hacks at me. That's not going to happen.
This ball's coming back, and
I didn't think he had a chance to catch that.
I don't think Trevor Brown, Huey, thought he had a chance to catch it initially. As it turned out, it was a very easy play.
He looked like he was going to just let it go into the stands. Trevor Brown has his mask. He just had to do a little Texas two-step to make sure he was underneath it.
Converted infielder. All you infielders, good athletes. You can play anywhere.
Yeah, stick a glove on.
Except on the mound.
Except for on the mound. I'm right there with you. Every position player thinks they can pitch until they're asked to do it.
Right.
Here's Nolan with 2 outs. And he takes a big swing and misses. Yesterday, he hit a home run his first at bat, his 42nd. Now we have a dead heat once again in the home run battle. Here's a double to throw in 2 more. Because earlier today, Bryce Harper in a 3-1 Nationals victory at Citi Field over the Mets hit a home run. So they both have 42. Harper has one more game. That's tomorrow. And Nolan has today and tomorrow.
Yeah, so in hockey terminology.
Actually, let me correct that. Because of the rain, they have to play a doubleheader tomorrow.
Yeah, so they're both at 42. But Nolan knows that right now. He's been aware of that. So when he steps in that box, it's in the back of his mind. But How about the night he had last night with 88 extra base hits? Sets a major league record for third baseman.
That moves ahead of Chipper Jones. 1-2, sliders outside.
Tell you what, Peavy is animated.
I love watching him work.
He'll bark at himself on the mound. He doesn't care. I like that.
A lot of times people who are seeing him for the first time, when they see him yelling, they think he's yelling at the umpire or the hitter. He's yelling at himself.
Some umpires have thought that.
This ball's driven to left center field and deep, and it is off the base of the wall. And Nolan adds to the extra base total. There's his 89th extra base hit of the year. It is a double.
By the way, Drew, Washington's second game is today.
Is it? Okay, it's today.
4 o'clock. They very rarely play a doubleheader on the last day, only because of weather. If they have to push it to a Monday if that game were to mean anything. Slider just kind of had a little cut to it. Nolan took advantage of it and drove it in left center field. Another game of interest, and I just like the playoff look at all this. One more look at the swing of, you see that slider rotation, that red dot in the back of the baseball? Didn't do a whole lot. Just stayed pretty flat, pretty hittable pitch. Texas, the Angels had an 8-1 lead. It is now 10-8 Texas.
It was 10-6 a moment ago.
Isn't that
the
crazy?
Angels trying
Top
to
of the
battle
ninth.
back.
Yeah.
Cargo at the plate with 2 outs. Cargo's only faced Peavy. It's kind of surprising. He's only faced him 5 times. He does not have a hit against Jake.
Jake missed some time this year, too, with a bad back and hip.
Most of May and June.
And he misses with a fastball.
Oh, boy.
Well, in that particular case, he wasn't yelling at himself. You know, there are guys, Huey, I'm sure you played against some guys that they did things, and from afar you say, man, everybody must dislike that guy.
Yeah.
Can't stand that. And they're guys that you just know, okay, that's part of their makeup, and you sort of appreciate it.
And nor should you make them conform to what baseball thinks they should be. Let him be his own man. Let him be his own person.
I like emotions on the mound and in the field.
It's okay. We need a lip reader. Was he trying to tell him, don't try to give location?
Probably. Knowing Peavy, that's probably exactly what he said to him. And I think for young players, when you have a veteran guy, 146 game wins, looks back at you and starts screaming at you, you're like, what's he yelling at me for? I didn't do anything. You hung the slider. I didn't hang it. Why are you yelling at me?
I just hit it.
Yeah. I remember one time in L.A., Steve Garvey was notorious for taking his swing and looking down, trying to get signs and location. Big Rick Sutcliffe walked to the mound, who was his former teammate. Walked from the mound to home plate. Jody, how you doing? Jody Davis, the catcher. If I see Garvey look down one more time, I'm going to stick it in his ear hole. Will you let him know that? And walk back up on the mound.
It's one of the first things you learn as a rookie.
He didn't look down anymore.
3-2 on Cargo. "25 pitches in already for Jake Peavy."
Well, the first at bat, Adames took him 8 just in that at bat. He's had a lot of 3-2 counts, a lot of 3-ball counts. 14 strikes, 11 balls. He's trying to get every ounce he can out of that body. 92. He threw the pitch. and then looked up to see how hard it was.
8-game hitting streak for Cargo. Broken bat, floater to second will end the inning. So Nolan doubles. He's left at second base. We'll go to the bottom of the first, no score. For Bruce Bochy this afternoon. Let's take a look at the rest of his Southwest batting order. Kelby Tomlinson again in there at second base. Played a lot of baseball for Joe Panik, who's been out with an injured back. Matt Duffy will bat third. Marlon Byrd, who was picked up around the trade deadline, will bat cleanup. Brandon Crawford, Mac Williamson, Kevin Franson, Trevor Brown, and Jake Peavy.
I really like what he's done this year. 21 starts, 2 complete ball games. His record, I know it's 6-9, but I like the complete game. Yeah, the shutout was great, but I liked how he battled on it, where he gave up some runs against these guys and ended up throwing it out there. 125 2/3 innings this year. He had 108 2/3 coming into the year over 3 years. So it's nice to see what he's done. 3-2 against the National League West. 363 earned run average.
And again, give you something to put in the memory bank as you go off into the sunset of the off season. You want it to be a positive. Kyle Kendrick able to accomplish that yesterday. Kyle got the victory, pitched very well.
Well, not only that, Drew, I think he'd like to get a road win. He hadn't won since May 31st out on the road. 0-6, earned run average near 6.
Good park and a good team to do it against. Oh-2 and a good hard curveball to strike out Angel Pagan. 3 pitches, 1 out recorded. That'll bring up Kelby Tomlinson. Ben Paulson's in left, Corey Dickerson in center field. Before we get the start out there for Charlie Blackmon. Cargo's in right. Adames at shortstop. Nolan, of course, is at third. DJ back in there, didn't play last night. Justin Morneau is at first base, and Tom Murphy's turn to catch. Tomlinson has hit .362 against lefties since being called to the big leagues. George is now 10-9.
Crazy.
Texas.
Yeah. 2 outs, 1-1, 1-1 count. Remember Ross Ohlendorf?
Yeah.
He's in pitching for Texas. Uh-oh.
Update?
Still 10-9. I'm sorry. Mine had just updated.
This ball line to right center field. Can Dickerson get there? Nope. And now it's in Triples Alley. fact, you better hustle because this is where inside the park home runs come. Here's the throw to the plate. Safe. An inside the park home run by Kelby Tomlinson.
That inside the Parker the other day down in Arizona, that'll get overruled to just a regular home run. This one won't.
Well, if you're going to get one in this park, that's where you got to hit it. It's in right center field or off the bricks and let it ricochet. And he got a ball up over the plate, drove it into right center field. Corey took the angle to try to get to the baseball, came up short. He and Cargo followed it, and he could see, he really wasn't running hard until he got to first. And then Roberto Kelly's like, buddy, get here, because you're going to get sent, and it's going to be a tough play at the plate. Wilson will be able to grab this and flip over to first base to get the second out of the inning of Matt Duffy. Wow. Exciting. Sorry it's against the Rockies, but it's exciting. I like those.
Yeah, and then the throw in, DJ has to jump for it, and then he lets it fly a little high, but on the money.
Let me ask you a question there. Why was Murphy behind home?
He should have been out in front of home.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Yeah. I mean, I know you're conscientious about blocking the plate without the ball, but
no, you go out in front, and then if they have to slide, make them slide out behind you.
Bird hits this a long way to center field, and it's gone. A conventional home run for Marlon Byrd, his 23rd of the year, and it's 2-0 Giants. Wind is blowing out, and Marlon Byrd got a high fastball, and he hit it up in the jet stream. Strong man.
Very strong. They're really trying to figure out, is this our everyday guy for next year? And I think that's what Bruce Bochy would like, to have him in the lineup. That ball's up in the zone, above the belt, not where Chris wanted to put it at all.
The 14th home run that Chris has given up to a right-handed hitter.
Now if they go, George, next year, to your point, go Bird in left, Pence in right with Pagan in center. That's pretty good outfield.
Yeah, and you still have Blanco running around, who's played very well. Another guy they're going to look at and try to consider out of who they have on their bench. Aoki's another one that's going to be here. That's why they say the outfield is going to be somewhat crowded next year. You have what Jared Parker has done in a short stint here.
2-0 on Crawford, 3-0. It's the 8th inside the park home run ever at AT&T Park. 6 are by Giants. The last we saw, that was Angel Pagan in May of 2013.
Didn't he hurt his hamstring on that play and then have to have surgery or missed a lot of time right after that?
Boy, did he do it on the inside the park home run?
On the inside the park home run.
I don't remember that. I know, he has battled hamstring injuries, battled a number of injuries the last couple of years. George's point about Marlon Byrd, Marlon will have some options. He's a free agent. And a swing and a miss. So a strikeout of Crawford by Russin, but an inside the park home run by Kelby Tomlinson, and then a home run straight away by Marlon Byrd. 2-0 Giants. but 2 runs on the board for the Giants as we go to the top of the second. Morneau, LeMahieu, Paulson. A reminder that today is like every other day during the season. You can join in on the conversation by sending us your thoughts, photos, and other stuff via Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Use the hashtag Toyota Talk. Peavy misses ball 1 on Morneau. 307 average for Justin coming in. And Morneau in his career, 6 for 26 against Jake Peavy. Rockies have won 10 of their last 16 encounters with the Giants here at AT&T. They've
swept them here. Just doesn't seem to be that fear of playing here.
I remember for years we'd come here and at some point inevitably during the series we'd point out that the Rockies are a miserable such and such versus such and such in San Francisco. It goes back to the Candlestick days, and then we'd run the graphic on what the Rockies are in California. Well, they're figuring out San Francisco till really this year. They played very well at Petco. That's down the left field line past where Matt Duffy was stationed, and Morneau has himself a leadoff single here in the second.
That's just a professional at bat.
Now, I always want to look this up. You go ahead and talk about it, Ray. I'm going to look this up.
Well, I'm just looking at the shift that they have and where Matt Duffy's playing. He's playing in that 5.5 hole, and Justin Morneau, just such a good hitter. He sees a pitch that's away from him, just slaps it to left field like a leadoff hitter.
See, I don't understand that. They're playing him to pull. They shift up the middle and off the line. Yet, you look at his number of hits he's gotten, 50 hits, now 51. Of those 51 hits, 44 is up the middle to the left field.
And then you pitch him away.
And I'm like,
well, I got another one for you. Again, San Francisco does not shift as much. DJ, we know where DJ hits the ball. They're playing him straight up in the infield and the outfield. 1-1 the count.
And for a guy that's hit .316 in his career against San Francisco, you
try something new.
Right. And I forget what team it was, but the other day, with DJ,
the Pirates.
The Pirates, that's right. The right fielder Polanco was about 2 steps away from the right field line.
Inside 2-1, and McCutchen, was over 30 yards from what would be a straight up center field. He was in the right center field gap. Well, DJ is hitting .302. We mentioned this yesterday. He could go 0 for 3 and still be at 300. Trust me, folks, he will not have an opportunity, and hopefully he goes 3 for 3, and it's a moot point, but there's no way he will have an opportunity to go anything worse than 0 for 3.
And he's earned that right.
He has earned that right.
Some people say, why would he? Well, he has over 560 at-bats. He's out there every single day.
It's been done many, many, many times in the past where an average, a 300 average, will be protected.
Who was it a couple of years ago? Jim Tracy did that. He did it with, first-round draft pick, kid out of Georgia. He had 305, played short and third. Bounced around a little bit of late. I'll think of it. Number 1 draft pick of the Rockies, shortstop.
Rutledge?
No.
He wasn't a first-rounder.
Drew, who is it? He had a party at his house when we all went to Atlanta. Had a big cookout. Mom and Dad cooked everything.
Chris Nelson.
Chris Nelson. There you go. Just means he got invited.
Look at this.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. That's something you see, you talk about it as a youth coach, circle back in behind the pitcher, third baseman, come back in for the toss, always have something covered. And look at this throw by Kevin Franson.
Whoops. Right over the head of Jake Peavy. Well, Matt Duffy didn't put his head down.
Yeah, Morneau, all that speed at first, too.
Morneau takes off, and there's a base hit for DJ through that left side that was vacated as Crawford had the coverage. And so DJ now a guarantee that he will be a 300 hitter in 2015. 2 on, nobody out. Think about before that throw goes over his head. We see so many shifts. What if the third baseman Duffy was over at shortstop?
Stop it. Yeah, he's at second base, and then you don't have the hit and run option. Well, they decided to mix up the coverage, have the shortstop Crawford cover on the steal, and DJ puts it in that hole with the shortstop vacated.
And I think that's twice that to be honest with you, Peavy's missed his location really bad. They wanted that ball away. It's in and allowed him to pull it. You can see the shortstop covering at second base. The other side, when Morneau was up, they wanted to pitch in. It was away because he was mad at himself on the mound. You could see it on the mound that he wasn't very happy.
Paulson fouls this one out of play.
And as a shortstop making the calls on coverage, you see the fastball away. You know DJ hits it that way, so you don't want the second baseman to go cover.
It's a natural. I mean, put your
you're
doing it. Put your hat back on. It's short. That's the way you probably should, especially with DJ.
It wasn't wrong on Brandon Crawford's part to call it that way. It was just the mislocation.
You know, the other part of it, Jeff, offensively, DJ's so used to, you know, his whole mantra is stay inside it and hit the ball the other way. So in that case, he's probably figuring, being a middle infielder, that the vacated spot is not on the right side. It'll be, I got to get the bat head out a little bit.
And roll the hands over, because that's all I have to do is get on top of the ball. And I'm going to have a base hit. And my average now is going to be
Probably 303. Yep, 303. 2-1 on Paulson. You know, Walt was talking and has talked so favorably about the impression that Ben Paulson has made. Kind of an even keel personality. He's come up with a lot of big hits. Been a really
another guy that's finally getting a chance.
Yeah, he's got a chance and he's performed.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Everybody told him he wasn't going to be a big league ball player until somebody gave him that opportunity. And he said, "Oh yeah, I am a big league ball player."
3-2.
That's why I get disgusted when I hear 4A. Drives me crazy. He's a 4A player. How do you know that? Have you given him more than his token 100 at bats at the big leagues? Have you given him 15 starts at the big leagues? Let them see if they can figure it out.
You get labeled.
Oh, you get labeled a hurry in this game.
This ball is well hit to right field. Still going back is Bird, and he makes the catch, and everybody tags and moves up 90 feet.
How about that win?
Good base running by LeMahieu in particular, because you're obviously going to tag from second. But the fact that DJ saw how deep that was and tagged off of first, that's a bonus.
Now you have 2 guys in scoring position for Tom Murphy.
Those are the little things. When we talk about, hey, why do the Cardinals win year in and year out? Why does this team seemingly, you know, do all the small things? That's a small little thing. You throw out a base hit here, instead of it being a 1-run game, you just tied it up.
And even if they decide, well, we're going to kind of pitch around Murphy, I know he's a youngster, to get to Russ, and it just changes the whole dynamic, not only of this inning, but later on down in this game.
Well, you'll clear the pitcher regardless this inning. Sliders in there for a strike. And the other thing to keep in mind, you got a pretty good hitting pitcher on deck. He's not, by far, not an automatic out.
Murph 6 for 12 on the year with runners in scoring position. Won a few times, and Peavy still can do it. Looking for the strikeout here.
Yep, you got ahead 0-2.
See, then they can walk Russian and get to the top of the order, right? Is that what you're talking about, Drew?
Absolutely.
Spoken like a true pitcher.
Yeah.
Yeah, to George's point, Jake doesn't throw out as many strikeouts as he once did, but he can still go get one when necessary. A couple starts ago, he struck out 8 Reds in 6 innings. He pitched a great game against the Dodgers a few days ago. 7 innings, 1 run, 3-hit baseball. Walked just 1, struck out 4. Eventually, the Giants would win 3-2 and 12.
We said that at the top of the game. Last 7, he's 4-0. Got him to chase. Got just what they wanted.
Well, now it'll come down to Russin trying to help his own cause with 2 in scoring position.
What inning are we in?
Strikeout for Peavy.
What inning is it?
Would be the second.
48 pitches.
It's a bunch. Wow. You have enough cookies there, by the way?
For Jeff, too.
You're lying.
It
Every
is
time
for
Jeff
Jeff.
reached for it, you block him.
I have not. Jeff can have some. He knows how the player thing works.
That's right.
I'll go get him some coffee if he needs it.
Oh, look at Huey. He's got a
I gotta
private
say.
stash also. I didn't see that.
You got yours behind going?
Who wants tacos when the Rockies score 7 or more runs, as they did last night? Go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special. Live Moss at Taco Bell. Angels took an 11-10 lead. How about that?
I know.
What a wild game.
Yeah.
It was, what did you say it was, George? It was 8-1 Angels?
8-1 Angels at one time.
No, it wasn't. It couldn't have been, because the Angels were down 6. It was 5-1. Then it was 10-6 Texas, and now it's 11-10 Angels. 1-1 on Russin. 1-2. Russin just setting him up, Huey. And swung
He's just
through that
waiting.
like he was late. Give me that fastball again. I'm going to line it to right center field and drive in 2.
He could turn on a 97. We saw that in St. Louis.
He went fastball again. He covered that pitch. It's a setup, man. I'm telling you.
Just laying in the weeds.
He covers a slider there. George, did you find when you were in a windy environment, we always talk about ball flight in a windy environment, high pop-ups could be a circus. How much does it affect a pitcher, his breaking ball, let's say?
Depends on which way it's going. I think if you have a crosswind like they have here today, and I don't know what it is on the field, I don't see pants moving or anything. A lot of times it'll hold the slider, depending on, how windy it really is. It can hold the slider.
Look at that hard shot to third, and Duffy hung with it, and he gets Russin. Rockies had a couple of base hits. They'll leave 2 in scoring position, 2-0 Giants. And an inside the park home run, Marlon Byrd, a home run over the center field wall. Back upstairs with my partners Jeff Hewson and George Frazier. It is that time of year where we start have that heavy discussion who's going to win the individual awards, the prominent awards, MVP, Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, and also who will represent each league and ultimately win the World Series. The first guy we posed that question to earlier, Nick Hundley.
Nolan, MVP, offensively and defensively, really second to none. Cy Young, probably Zach Greinke, doing it all year. And then Rookie of the Year, Chris Bryant for sure. And then postseason, I got the Mets and the Rangers in the World Series, and the Rangers winning it all.
Going with the Rangers.
Yep, going out on a limb.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's Huey's voice, obviously, in the background. He likes it because he's a former Ranger.
Well, I just didn't think that would be his choice. I mean,
he was
kind
the
of
only
the sexy
one.
choice now is Toronto coming out of there.
Mac Williamson fouls that off, so it's quickly a two-strike count. We interviewed a bunch of guys in the clubhouse, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that Nick was the only one who picked Texas, right?
I believe so, yes. Most of them had Toronto coming out of the American League or Kansas City.
We'll get your selections, Frazier's selections a little bit later on.
And yours. You're going to go out on a limb, too. You're not just going to be here, Mr.
No.
Second Guesser.
Have you ever, let me ask, you've known me a long time now. Have you ever known me to withhold my opinion?
Let me think about it. No.
Thank you. Christian Adames has it, and Mac Williamson is the first out of the second inning for Chris Russin. Kevin Franson will come up. Kevin Franson, second tour with the Giants. Is it his second or third tour with the Giants? He's been around a while,
a long time. He had to battle back from a torn Achilles.
Diving stop, DJ. Out at first base. What a play. I didn't think there was a way in the world, even after he made the stop. And he ends up getting Franson fairly comfortably.
Did Franson run out of the box?
I'm not
Did
sure.
he think
Maybe.
that was did he start to make the wide turn early?
Take a look.
Yeah, he's hauling.
He
Nice job, DJ. How sweet is that? From his knees.
And we'll show this again, though. Adames was thinking, hey, give it to me. I can make this throw. He's got his hand up, say, throw it right here. I'll do it. No, go ahead, DJ. You throw out Franson.
And that, it helps. We've pointed this out a bunch. DJ has a left side arm playing second base.
Well, and that's part of the reason why he leads the National League second baseman in assists per 9 innings over Deke Gordon and Neil Walker.
And this kid can field his position because he is an athlete. That's a terrific play by Russin. 3 quick ground balls. Adames got a chance. DJ stole a hit from Franson, and then a nice play to get Trevor Brown by Chris Russin. We'll go to the third, 2-0 Giants. George, you were asking earlier, because you haven't been out here in a bit. That's the Golden Gate Bridge there.
Is that what that is?
Yes. The day after every Rockies victory, get 50% off your online order at Papa John's. The promo code ROCKSWIN at papajohns.com. Because you've been spending a lot of time doing the home games. When was the last time you were in San Francisco?
Couldn't tell you.
Was it last year?
Couldn't tell you. I don't know. Last year, I guess.
Well, who do you want me to ask?
What? Kenny, the scheduler.
Good response. Yeah. Christian Adames will lead it off here in the third for the Rockies. Christian had a lengthy at bat before striking out, leading off the game against Jake Peavy.
He had 23 games at Albuquerque leading off. 355 on base percentage for the Isotopes.
This is in the air to fairly deep left field, but it'll be handled out there by Mac Williamson. Real quick, what's your thought on watching Christian's second time through? We saw him last year briefly.
Last year it was a little overwhelming for him. You could just tell, and it's not unusual. A lot of players go through it. I went through it. It's you're in awe of the big leagues, guys you've watched on TV, and now you're up there playing against them. But I think this time around, third spring training that he's gone through, more comfortable. You could see his talent starting to shine a little bit.
It's a lot easier for a guy that's got the headlines coming into spring training is he's going to be a guy than it is for a guy that's just listed on the 40-man roster. And you get accepted a little quicker because you're the guy. Some of the older players go, okay, well, he's going to be a part of our deal. And the other guys have to earn it. It takes some time.
And I think the other thing for Christian is what he did in winter ball, winning the batting title down there, because that's not an easy place to hit. You got a lot of veteran players playing, and he showed his worth there.
Yeah, the Angels pulled off that improbable rally. They beat the Rangers 11-10, overcoming a 4-run deficit in the ninth inning. How about that?
Well, what that does, Houston with the lead, doesn't give him a chance here.
Coors Light Cold Hard Facts are brought to you by Clean, Crisp Coors Light, the game's most refreshing beer. 40 home runs, 40-plus doubles, 120-plus RBIs, age 24 or younger. Look at that group. Lou Gehrig, Chuck Klein, Hal Trotsky, Pujols twice, and now Nolan Arenado. Crazy, crazy season he's had. Had a double his first time up, if you're just joining us. On the ground to Matt Duffy, and Peavy had a short inning.
58 pitches. 58 pitches. 54 pitches. He threw 2-2. He threw 6 that inning. Go figure.
third. And the first pitch is in there for a strike. Giants currently by 8 points lead the Rockies in hitting in the National League. They're hitting .267 as a club. The Rockies at .266.
1993 was the last time they led in batting average. That being the Giants.
Nobody spent any time on base against Russin today. They've just been passing through. Kelby Tomlinson, who will bat third, an inside the park home run, and then the home run by Marlon Byrd in the first. Ground ball to DJ. Charlie Blackmon, the next guy we fired questions at this morning about postseason awards.
I mean, I'm going to say Nolan because he's so good at everything. His defense is better than the other MVP candidates, I would say. I would have to. I mean, I guess Bryce is up there too. Harper, he's been really good. I just think Nolan has more of an impact on the Rockies than Harper does for the Nationals.
National League Cy Young.
I'm going to say Greinke. He's been doing it all year. I feel like wins are very important, though, and Arrieta's got him on that. But I just think a guy that has been that good all year long with such a low whip is got to be your winner.
National League Rookie of the Year.
Who are my choices?
Duffy, Chris Bryant.
Oh, yeah. I hate to do it, but I think you got to give it to Chris Bryant. He's driven in so many runs. He's just been, he's been the threat in the middle of their order ever since he came up, which was very early in the year, so you can't hold that against him. I think Chris Bryant wins that one.
So Charlie Blackmon breaking it down. That's 2 votes for Nolan. And there's a base hit for Tomlinson, and this one's cut off, but Tomlinson with the good wheels is going to end up at second with a double. So he's got himself a leg home run and a leg double.
And halfway to a cycle. The triple in the right center field gap, now the double in the left center field. He went down and got that.
Yeah, I got a cutter. That's a pretty good looking young hitter. Drove it out into left center field. I'm glad Paulson went back and had the angle to hold him to just 2.
They keep producing second basemen, don't they?
Yes, they
Panic,
do.
Tomlinson. Matt Duffy, pretty good looking third baseman. And Duffy takes a strike. He had a comebacker his first time up.
You can see why this guy's in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. Hitting third for a lot of this year for the Giants.
And what he's done against the Rockies this year, .355 average, 4 home runs, 12 RBIs, covering 16 ball games.
Two outs, 1-1 on Duffy. And that's high, 2-1. With every challenge call, the Subaru Eyesight Review will determine the outcome. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. talking about second baseman the Giants have produced. Duffy's played a little second base also.
Well, Duffy is part of the reason why Casey McGee was let go, because of his bat when he was filling in at third base for Casey. They had signed him or traded for him and thought he was going to be the guy. But Matt played so well, and they designated Casey for assignment.
Duffy was a shortstop primarily in the minor leagues.
Well, you got to credit Brian Sabian, Dick Tidrow, Bobby Brown. These guys go out and find guys. They come up with them in the draft, later part of drafts, some of their high draft picks. Pitching-wise, they've been outstanding. Dick Tidrow is behind a lot of that.
Well, think about what Huey said. McGee, who had a really good year coming back from Japan last year with Miami, and he was brought in, veteran presence, to replace Panda. And it ends up being Duffy who replaces Panda and then some. There's the walk to Duffy, and that'll bring up Marlon Byrd with 2 on and 2 outs. Well, it's the Rio Grande rivalry on Root Sports. New Mexico State looking to avenge last season's loss to New Mexico, and they'll face off a little bit later on tonight. Coverage begins at 6 o'clock on Root Sports, your home for Mountain West football. And Mark Stout working that game, 106th Rio Grande rivalry. Coming up from Albuquerque at 6. Mark and Sid Bonner will have the call.
Most teams played for in their career. Marlon Byrd is tied for second on that list. Chen with 11, Hawkins 11, and now Byrd with 9. But you know what? Well, another look at this home run that Byrd hit out earlier. It did get out of here quickly. You know what, Drew, when you talked about McGee coming over and replacing Panda, it's kind of like replacing a legend in the booth. You want to be the second guy, not the first guy. And I think there's so many fans here in love with the Panda. They wanted to bring in the veteran presence. Well, the veteran presence didn't handle the pressure of replacing Panda. Duffy came in. Anything he did better than McGee, it was going to be great for the fans. And he's just lit it up.
You know, off the top of my head, it's a great point, George. I'm thinking, okay, where did it work out where the next guy, DJ wasn't covering the bag, but Rusty made sure he threw it to him. Where the next guy was so good that it was okay. And you know what I think of? Yaz after Ted Williams, after Ted Williams, or excuse me, after Yaz came Jim Ed Rice.
Yeah, and Rice was there when Yaz was there. He was just in the other position in right field. And when Yaz retired, he moved over. But he took over for Yaz, but he had established himself already as a pretty decent player. The other guy that comes to mind, Toby Harrell, went to the Yankees and replaced Greg Nettles. Toby was hiding in the trainer's room within a week, and they hated him.
Well, Dougie just handed me a note, and a great one. Out here, folks in the Bay Area, they'd point this out immediately. Joe Montana to Steve Young.
Right.
And the current one in the NFL in Green Bay, that worked out all right. Brett Favre moved on, and Brett, an all-timer, and now you have Aaron Rodgers, who, when his career is done and the synopsis written, he may be the best of all time.
Oh, just from across the bay, too, at Cal.
Is that the double check guy?
That's
yes.
Yeah, I know, Georgie, you don't see a lot of football, but
well, I see that. I see that
double
stuff.
check guy.
Yeah, I see that stuff.
You know, he did not have a Division I offer out of high school. Went to a junior college, and then Jeff Tedford was going to look at a wide receiver, and he know, and the kid throwing at the junior college, throwing the wide receiver he was going to recruit passes, caught his eye, and that's how Aaron Rodgers ended up at Cal, across the water at Berkeley.
Well, and then a late draft pick, sixth round.
Rodgers went pretty high. By the time he left Cal, he went.
No, the all-timers, Brady in New England for a late draft.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of.
Yeah, Brady was a 6th rounder. 1-2 on Byrd, 2-2. Three straight 20 home run seasons for Marlon Byrd. Yeah, but to your point, George, usually you don't want to be the next guy. You want to be the next guy.
Well, I mean, it's you know, who's going to want to replace Vince Scully in L.A.? You want to be that first guy? I don't care, Charlie Steiner, whoever it is. You won't be that guy? No, you want to be the other guy that everybody ran out of town. You want to be the next guy.
It's like replacing Derek Jeter.
Exactly. You know, DeGarrios has come over there. He's played okay. Not Derek Jeter.
But he's always being compared to Derek.
You just have to know going in. You'll never be. You can never live up to that standard. 3-2 on Bird, so Tomlinson and Duffy will be off. First a meeting at the mound.
Well, when he ahead of Duffy, 1-2, walked him. Now they've worked this into a 3-2 count. Rockies fans, stop by your local dugout stores during the month of September for the end of the season sale with great store-wide savings. Call 303-832-TEAM for store locations nearest you. Rockies.com/dugout stores.
Swung on and missed, so Russell gets Bird, and the Giants leave 2 on in the third. We'll go to the fourth. The Giants leading 2-0. Houston, George Frazier. Find the latest Albuquerque Isotopes jerseys, t-shirts, novelties, hats, anything you could possibly want at abqisotopes.com. Albuquerque Isotopes, the proud AAA affiliate of the Colorado Rockies.
I want to do that.
You want to be the sheriff?
I want to do that. That looks like fun to me.
There's a faster speedboat down by the wharf.
No, I like that one.
You like that one?
Yeah. I think it was about 3 years ago. Matt Belisle and I and a couple of guys were fishing, and one of those Coast Guard cutters came up on us, and we were out. That was scary. They got like machine guns and stuff hanging off that thing. What are you getting on us about? We hadn't done anything.
They just out there trying to enjoy a nice day fishing.
Yeah, right.
Inside ball one on Cargo. They saw you.
No, I was asleep on the front. I'd already caught a couple of sharks. I was tired. I went to sleep. Belisle goes, "We got company." I was like, "Oh yeah, we do. That's a really big boat."
This is a high fly ball to left center field. Pagan putting his hand out. He's, whoa.
See, Drew, that got up in the jet stream. It was going out, and then the wind direction blew straight down, and it got on him in a hurry. Just telling you, watch. Telling you, got up in the jet stream. See, he's right here, and all of a sudden, a gust of wind straight down. See, got on him in a hurry.
That's why he had to use two hands.
That's right.
Justin Morneau punched a single down the third base line his first time up. And a slider on the outside corner for a strike. strikes under it. Pagan, another opportunity.
Uh-huh. Look at him.
See if the wind's blowing straight down again. George, see that?
He told both outfielders it's swirling. Right? So the young one, Williamson, comes flying over to help him. Bird's like waving at him. You got it. Don't worry about it.
It's not quite candlestick, but you still have the
Oh, boy.
some of the swirling going on.
I didn't want to shag it, Candlestick.
That dust, too, was so fine. They didn't water it down to get in your eyes.
Well, they watered it about 10 hours ahead of game time.
Well, yeah. And it just that top layer get blown off.
And DJ gets jammed. Pop up to Tomlinson, and wow! I didn't think once he turned his back, I said, "Well, he's not catching this."
And then snow coned it.
This turned into a pretty fancy play by Kelby Tomlinson in a 1-2-3-4 for Jake Peavy. 2-0. Tomlinson and then Marlon Byrd over the center field wall. Here's the catch by Tomlinson.
Well, we've chronicled the wind and how bad it is, and it's swirling. Marlon Byrd's ready to catch him behind, but Tomlinson had to make the over-the-shoulder Willie Mays catch.
This ball crushed to center field, and it's gone. Brandon Crawford with the third solo home run of the game for San Francisco. They lead it 3-0 for Crawford, his 21st home run. And again, it underscores the improvements he has made last couple of years hitting left-handed pitching.
Just so much more comfortable at the plate. More confidence, everything about it for Brandon Crawford. .21 and 84, that's what he has. 21 home runs and 84 RBIs. Is a shortstop. The ball just cut, stayed on the outer half of the plate. He hit it hard, but he also got it up the jet stream, and it carried out to dead center.
.21 home runs for Crawford now matches that kid Correa, who's pretty good with Houston. Most home runs by a shortstop in baseball this year, and Williamson gets hit. And how good's Carlos Correa, Huey?
It's home runs, and they're money home runs. When the Astros need it, he's been able to do it. Now they're just a game back of the Rangers. Rangers letting this thing kind of linger, not able to close out the Rangers, and still sitting with a 1-game lead.
Jeff Luhnow had it figured out. Everybody was like, Correa was pretty good down in Puerto Rico. Scouted him heavily out of the academy down there. Tell you who's got an academy down there now too is Carlos Beltran has one.
A lot of kids very good one.
A lot of them were taken this year out of the draft from there.
George, the deal with Correa, when the Astros took him, they got him for 4.8, which the slot was 7.2, and they took that money and they were able to spread that out and overpay in certain other areas, because now we know that Houston has stockpiled some young talent.
Strongest minor league system in baseball. You look all the way up and down what they did. AAA, AA, everything in the playoffs. I think they had 5 or 6 teams in the playoffs and 3 champions this year. I know Corpus Christi got knocked out early in the Texas League deal, but they were in the championship. Fresno was in.
1-1 on Franson. Williamson at first, ground ball to third. Look at that play. It never ends, does it?
Well, Kevin Franson might want to think about hitting it somewhere else, because he tried it the first time to DJ. Now he tries it to Nolan down the line. You know, you haven't been in the big leagues all year, Kevin, but these guys have, and they're making the plays.
You know what? I don't think people understand, Huey. He's played 150 ball games, whatever it's been for Nolan. To make these plays day in and day out, the ability to stay focused on every pitch.
And I like the way he got rid of it, 1, very quickly, but 2, he got it to the backside of the bag, and that's where a second baseman wants that ball from a third baseman. So I have some protection from that runner. DJ just popped off with his right foot and then made the transfer.
Trevor Brown fouls it down the first base line, 1-1. One more note on Brandon Crawford, leading the Giants with 21 home runs. He will become the first shortstop to lead the Giants in home runs for a season since Bill Dahlin back in 1905. Dahlin went off in that 05 season. He hit 7.
But they were majestic 7. They were, they were just out of sight.
Really should have counted up twice.
So he could have been up to 14.
Yeah.
That's when they were using the sponge balls. Dead ball era, softball.
How hard, George, was it to grip those balls?
I was just getting ready to say, hard on the slider. Go ahead, pick another spot. Grab some pine meat. That inning's over.
In the inning, a home run by Crawford, and it's 3-0 Giants. A long ball this afternoon, and they've gotten a very good performance again from Jake Peavy. Tomlinson's home run and inside the park job. Marlon Byrd over the center field wall. Brandon Crawford over the center field wall. Rockies had an opportunity in the second. They had first and second, nobody out. Paulson moved him up a base with a long fly ball to right, but then Murphy struck out, and Chris Russin hit a shot right at the third baseman, Matt Duffy, who threw him out. In the fifth, it'll be Paulson, Murphy, and Russin to face Jake Peavy. And this ball is lifted to deep right center field, way back, and this one's gone. Ben Paulson hits a towering home run to right center. Off the bat, you're thinking, well, he hit it pretty well. That thing just kept going and going and going. It's home run number 11 for Paulson. It's 3-1. Well, this is one of those few times, Jeff, where you get a ball up in the air today, you may be trotting around the bases.
Well, and we're just seeing the outfielders and how they're reacting. There's been not a lot of playing time the last couple weeks with Justin Morneau coming back, left-handers on the hill, it seems like 3-4 nights a week. So Ben's at-bats have been sporadic, but he made him pay on that one. And to hit it out where he did. And
that's a long
Death
way.
Valley out in right center.
Yeah. Tom Murphy at the plate.
Right out of the hand. A little slider. Maybe a cut fastball. Ben goes down, and pretty nice high follow through.
Peavy and Cruz the last couple of innings hadn't thrown hardly any pitches. I mentioned 54 through the first 3 innings, and now here as he works into the 5th inning, it's just at 71. He had 2 quick innings, 3rd and 4th. Now the home run to lead off here in the 5th.
And for Ben, his last home run was August 24th.
34-year-old Jake Peavy, a 3-1 pitch upcoming to Tom Murphy. And he walks Murphy. Now Peavy, a big Alabama football fan. He's from Mobile, and he's happy right now. And our good friend Paul Egan's, the Rockies traveling secretary, not so happy because they, last I saw, they're winning big in Athens.
Well, neither is Tyler Sanders.
And it's 31-3 in the 3rd quarter. There's a bunt deadened out front. So Russin does his job. Murphy to second with 1 out. Some of the Cy Young candidates. It's a good race this year. And I'm going to ask you, George, all year, most people have, especially in the second half, have deferred to the work of Zach Greinke. 18-3. Greinke's going today. 1.68 ERA. I mean, just stupid numbers. Kershaw's come on. Garrett Cole's had a nice year. Great year. But now Jake Arrieta has 22 W's. He's had a silly second half, and his ERA is 1.77. So my question for you, former pitcher in the big leagues, who do you like?
2 guys. I think Arrieta's going to win it.
Give me 2 guys. You got to give me 1.
Judge, may I please talk in the courtroom?
Yes, you can. Please.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
All right. Jake Arrieta, I think, is probably going to win it, but I like Melanson as 1A because I don't think the Pirates are where they are in winning the Cy Young Award without his 51 saves right now. And going to go into the postseason with him to shut out a ball game means a huge thing to me. I just think Melanson is a guy that could be 1A in this whole thing. I think there's some guys that there's so much attention given to the Pittsburgh Pirates right now through the writers who vote on this.
If you had a vote, you would vote Arrieta then?
Yeah, I would vote Arrieta. I mean, his second half earned run average slowest in the history of baseball. It's like 0.65. It's stupid.
Silly. Yeah,
it's stupid what he's done for them.
How about you, Huey?
If you would have asked me 2 weeks ago when we were talking about it, when we were out in L.A., it was definitely Greinke. But now I flip-flop. That's why you wait until the end of the season. You don't vote. I mean, heck, we're going to talk about the Rookie of the Year in a moment. If you would have made the vote in June or early July, Jock Peterson was the guy. That's why he went to the All-Star game. But no, it's a body of work. So for me now, it's Jake Arrieta.
Boy, and here's something that also helps Arrieta's cause. The Cubs have come on in the second half. They're in the postseason. Well, it's going to be hard. Let's say Greinke wins today and he goes 19-3 with a 1.6 something ERA. Can you imagine? Yeah, I didn't win the Cy Young that year. I was 19-3 with. Yeah, Doc Gooden's 153, which is the lowest ERA since they lowered the mound after Gibson had the 112 and 68. And you have guys with sub-2 ERAs fouled off again by Adames.
I'll give you another shot at it. Dave Stewart won 20 games 4 years in a row and never won a Cy Young Award when he pitched for Oakland Athletic.
Yep. 20
games a year, 4 years in a row.
And Jake Arrieta since the All-Star break, 12-1 with a .75.
It's really amazing.
Good to be Jake Arrieta when you're a free agent, right?
And
Is he a free agent yet?
No, I don't think so. Also has a no-hitter to his credit.
Last Cub to win the Cy Young, a fellow by the name of Greg Maddux in '92. There's a process. Some people ask me, where did Arrieta come from? Arrieta was with Baltimore. He's 29. It's taken him a while to be Jake Arrieta. I mean, last year.
Well, not really. He's always been Jake Arrieta, but
Jake Arrieta.
That was a Frazierism, by the way. That was a big-time Frazierism right there.
Yeah, he was 10-5 last year.
Good Lord. It's taking him a while to be Jake Arrieta. Did he change his name in the All-Star break or something?
Glad you pointed that out. Good battle going on between Adames and Peavy again.
Well, it's been a good battle all day long between Adames and Peavy.
In the case of Jake Arrieta, and I'm sure that Theo Epstein's going to make him a very nice offer in the offseason, he's still in his arbitration years. 2-2. And another foul ball.
Well, think about it. There is a lot of really good pitchers out on the free agent market this year. So it's going to be an interesting how they all unfold and where they end up. I mean, I don't know that David Price will stay in Toronto. I think he'll end up somewhere else.
Yeah, the last guy, MLB stat of the day, MLB.com, the last guy 22 victories in that sub-2 ERA was Doc Gooden. Good eye. Boy, this is a heck of an at-bat for Christian Adames. Rockies have Tom Murphy at second. They have a run in the inning on the home run by Ben Paulson. It's 3-1. As they're working here in the top of the fifth. You count up the 3 at bats. This is the 22nd pitch to Adames, and fly ball to left field. Hey, what's PB got today? I don't know. Go ask Adames. He's been up there for a half hour.
About a third of the pitches that he's thrown have been to Adames, maybe a fourth. But oh yeah, he's got a slider, cut fastball, changeup, slider.
Do a couple pitches lefty to me.
Couple knuckleballs. That's when you know you're in the pitcher's mind, when it's not even on the radar and he throws you a knuckleball. Well, I can't get you out with anything else.
Or he just starts yelling and telling you what's coming.
Here he comes.
Contos and Lopez is warming up down in the bullpen for the Giants.
Corey Dickerson
Beautiful
fouled out and hit a fly ball to right. Takes high, ball 1.
pitch count at 86 pitches now for Jake Peavy.
Four hits apiece in the game. Bruce Bochy was saying the other day that Peavy, because of the injury, is still pretty fresh, but he doesn't want to overwork anybody heading into the offseason.
No reason to.
Overextend anybody.
Well, that's why Bumgarner's not throwing tomorrow. They did announce that Matt Cain will be tomorrow's starter.
Yeah, originally it was going to be Yusmeiro Petit, but he was forced to pitch yesterday in relief.
I think it'll be a bullpen day, to be honest with you.
Murphy got back.
Ow, did that hurt? I think you hurt his shoulder. I think you hurt his left shoulder. Take a look. Was it right there? It's kind of hyperextended. It appeared. Oh, he might
have been out.
Might be out too.
Yeah. Bochy probably saw the same thing because he's asking for it to be looked at, I think.
Spinning the wheel. He makes it back, but then when he hits the bag, the ply is the tag's still being applied as his hand comes off the bag.
You've seen guys. I've seen it happen multiple times. Guys.
Well, he's coming out of the game.
Tear labrums diving back to the bag.
Well, tough break for Tommy.
Yep, he's got to come out. Garneau will go in. It is time for a Subaru review. Whether you're on the road or at the game, everybody could use a second set of eyes. And he's out. So Tom Murphy, unfortunately, is out on the bases, and now he's out of the game as he injured his left shoulder trying to dive back in. He was picked off. Rockies get a run on the Ben Paulson big fly, his 11th of the year. Ford F-150, it's not just a truck, it's the future of tough. By Southwest Airlines, book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Well, the crowd is reacting right now in a 3-1 ball game because Jake Peavy's been called back, and they're not excited about that. They're excited about this guy pinch hitting, Madison Bumgarner. This is not foreign territory. He's hit 5 home runs this year, which is the most home runs hit by a Giant pitcher since 1934. It's a high fly ball down the right field line. Cargo, he's not going to be able to get there in the Rockies bullpen. The last guy to hit more home runs, the only pitcher to hit more home runs, in fact, than the 5 hit by Mad Bum this year. Hal Schumacher hit 6 in 1934. That year, the Giants rotation hit 10 home runs. This year, they've hit 9. 5 different guys have hit a home run. And this ball's well hit to left, and it's going to drop in front of Paulson. Bumgarner took an aggressive turn, comes back to the bag. Now the question is, will Boch allow him to run the bases? Especially after just witnessing an injury on the bases.
Not sure he's going to.
You think
if he does stay in there, that's taking a little bit of a risk. It's one thing to put him up there to hit. He rounds a base after sitting and not stretching his legs as much as he did trying to get loose to hit.
You know, it would be an interesting poll, Huey. Who's more popular in the Bay Area, Steph Curry or Madison Bumgarner?
Well, I don't know, but both led their teams to championships.
Suffice it to say, they're both really popular.
Yeah, but I was just thinking, Steph Curry, Golden State, does his thing. Madison Bumgarner put the team on his back last year when he refused to come out of any of the games. He says, no, I'm here. You're going to have to drag me off this mound. And then to ride in, what was back in April when you were here opening day for them, when he rode out on the horse with the flag.
They ate that up, didn't they?
They loved that.
Rio is in there for a strike on Angel Pagan. Here's a great trivia question, because everybody in Game 7 remembers the work of Madison Bumgarner. Who won the game? Who was the winning pitcher for the Giants?
I'm trying to think. That's a great trivia question. The stumper.
It's a guy who's retiring.
Well, there's 2 guys retiring from this.
That's why I didn't want to make it too easy. You have 2 choices.
Well, it's either Tim Hudson or Jeremy Affeldt.
You're correct. Ball 4.
I'll go with Hudson.
It was Affeldt.
Was it?
Affeldt, couple innings in
I had a 50-50 shot.
You had a 50-50 shot and you lost.
And I lost.
And there's 2 on, nobody out. Hudson retiring after 479 starts. He has more than 22 wins. It's, what is it? Is it 212? 222? Yeah, 222.
222.
Yeah, 222. And Jeremy Affeldt, you know, he really felt it satisfying when he left Kansas City, the winning pitcher. Giants win the World Series, because remember when he was with the Royals, so much promise and so much disappointment. Here's a ground ball to second. Can the Rockies turn it? There's one on to first, not in time. So it's first and third, one out.
Scott Oberg in the Rockies bullpen. And while we have a moment here, you can follow the Rockies still with MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live Rockies baseball. At bat is up to the minute with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com at bat now.
Matt Duffy, first and third, one out. The Giants ahead 3-1, bottom of the fifth inning. And they've taken Bumgarner out.
Mike Leake.
Well, they've replaced him with another pitcher. Mike Leake.
Well, now the other guy signed for 3 years. He's a free agent.
That's why they did it.
And they have games appeared clause in their contract.
Did you ever have one of those?
Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah. Games appeared, innings pitched.
Going to be a lot of happy parents. Everybody's getting to play. There's a strike, 1-1.
Well, I know they want to sign Mike Leake back. I just don't know if they're going to get it accomplished here in San Francisco. They're looking for rotation depth, so are a couple other ball clubs.
There's a lot of named free agent pitchers. Run down the list of some of the guys, some of the more prominent ones. Some intriguing names out there. Well, the 1-1's fouled off. And here's the notable free agents with the Giants. Vogelsong's 38. He's probably not going to be back. Mike Leake, as George mentioned, they'd like him back. They picked him up from Cincinnati. Lincecum's having hip surgery. Who knows? And then position players, Nori Aoki and Marlon Byrd. Some of the names out there, Mark Burley's going to be a free agent. Top of the heap, Jordan Zimmerman with Washington's going to be a free agent.
You're forgetting one.
There's a whole long list.
No, you're forgetting one very prominent one.
Johnny Cueto's going to be a free agent.
A little better than that one.
David Price is going to be a free agent.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
He may be the Cy Young Award winner in the American League.
Don't forget about Zach Greinke. He opts out of his deal.
Still can't imagine him not being in a Dodger uniform next year.
Well, I can't either, but it's going to cost a lot more than the 25 he's got coming.
They can afford it.
Well, so they say.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Giovanni Gallardo, bounce back year. He's a free agent. Pfister with Washington's a free agent. Ian Kennedy is a free agent. Guys always pitch well at Coors Field. Jeff Samardzija is a free agent. Guys like Jay Happ, free agent. Guy's done a pretty good job for the Dodgers. Finally stayed healthy. The former Rocky,
Brett Anderson.
Brett Anderson. He's another guy that's, he signed a 1-year deal.
The most games started for Brett Anderson since his rookie year with Oakland.
This is lined toward the Rockies bullpen. Two and 2 on Duffy with 1 out. Ground ball, could be 2. Good feed, and Adames with the flip to first. Well done by Chris Russin. First and third, 1 out. He does not relinquish a run. Keeps it a 3-1 ball game as we go to the 6th. Frazier and Jeff Houston. I'm Drew Goodman. 2, 3, and 4 for the Rockies in the 6th inning. Jake Peavy gone after 5 innings. Josh Osich will take over. It'll be the 34th appearance for Osich. The Rockies have seen Osich. It's an impressive left-hander.
Throws the ball hard, 195 earned run average, 27 2/3. He has struck out 26. Another arm that they have found. They look back. Murphy made a dive in, and then the shoulder, left shoulder. He was tagged out because when he hit, pulled back in pain, and it was called out. That ended the 5th inning. He had to leave the ball game. Dustin Garneau has gone into his place.
Dickerson, Arenado, Gonzalez against Osich, who misses ball 1. 27-year-old lefty. Started the year in Double-A.
His prime example, you just mentioned 27-year-old guy throwing 95 miles an hour with a slider. And you're like, okay, well, why was he down there? Maybe because he wasn't a strike thrower. Took a while to find his zone. But once he found it, he got here quickly.
Yeah, he wasn't even on the 40-man roster this year. And Dickerson hits a high pop, and anything in the air is an adventure, and it drops.
Like that.
And Dickerson ran the whole way, and he's into second. Is he okay?
Should be.
He had his head down for a second. I thought he got hurt on the slide. So it's a fly ball double.
Everybody thought they had it, except nobody had it. They're all looking up like, you taking it? No, you take it. No, you go ahead and take it.
See if the Rockies can take advantage of that break. It's like old candlestick. Just hit it high in the air.
High and hope it falls in somewhere.
Nolan Arenado coming up. Nolan a double in the first, a ground ball to third in the third. Here's some of Nolan's predictions on postseason hardware and the World Series.
I'm going to go with Greinke. I think he's been consistent. I think he's had a 1-6 the whole year. So for me, I go with Greinke. I mean, Jake Arrieta has a great year in Kershaw. They've both had tremendous years, but I think Greinke, since he's sustained it throughout the whole year, I think he deserves it.
Rookie of the year.
Man, I think Chris Bryant's going to get it. I think he drove in 100 runs this year. I think that's pretty impressive for the first year, and I had 25 plus. But Matt Duffy's had a great year too. So I'll probably go with Chris Bryant right now because they're going to go to the playoffs also.
MVP.
For the National League,
Yes.
Probably Bryce Harper. I think Bryce Harper has had an unbelievable year. He's definitely changed who he is as a player, and I mean he's totally different than any year you've ever seen the guy. He's just been incredible.
I did ask him about his own candidacy, and typical of Nolan, you know, with so much humility, he said just to be in the conversation, and you know, if I receive some votes, he goes, that'll be an unbelievable honor. And that's what you expect him to say. And you know, rather than me paraphrase, here's Nolan in his own words.
Well, it'll be very special. You know, obviously, if I finish anywhere in the MVP voting, it'd be amazing just to have that, you know, that opportunity where people vote for me. It'd be awesome. You know, I played hard. I did the best I could this year, and you know, I'm just trying to keep learning, keep growing, and hopefully good things happen.
So if he keeps growing, fellas, what is they call him out?
Yeah, that's a bad call.
Carlos Torres said he went around. Let's take a look at that. Pretty close.
That's right. Yeah, I have to agree with you, Nolan.
Anyhow, if he keeps improving, what's he do? He hit 50 next year and 50 doubles?
Well, there's not another level, but he might.
Well, sad part about it, let's say he hits 30 and drives in 110, they'll go down year.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really a down year, huh?
Cargo fouls it off.
Well, the one guy that could get loose in about 5 seconds gone down to their bullpen, Sergio Romo. You got two left-handers, and then Bochy preparing for as they get down to the Rockies lineup to DJ LeMahieu.
Two strikes on Carlos Gonzalez. From Kevin Millar. Intentional talk with Chris Rose. Millar is one of the great characters of the game. You're my man crush.
I just admire the way Nolan stayed so humble this year.
It's who he is, not an act.
No. But he's just, every time you see him, he's still the same guy.
He's a kid, man. He's a kid who loves to play. He's a kid, you get the feeling like if he was going home like the old pictures of Willie Mays in the city playing stickball after a Giant game. You could see Nolan doing that. You guys playing a game at the park?
Oh,
Can I play?
I'll be right there.
Yeah.
Let me just go drop my stuff off at Mom and Dad's and all. Let me grab my other bag.
Yeah.
Rockies all-time home runs after the break. Dante Bichette, 27 and 95. Cargo, 27 this year. When you think about it, he had 4 home runs on what, June the 14th?
June 4th, he had 4.
How crazy was that?
There are very few guys in the game. I was talking to Blake Doyle about this. There's very few guys in the game that could put a 4-month season together like he has.
The numbers I was talking about, Andres Galarraga with 25 and 96. Larry Walker, Castilla, Todd Helton in 2001.
And I've said this a bunch, and it's not to diminish any of the great accomplishments of Dante, the Big Cat, Walk, Vinny, Todd, obviously. But what Nolan's done this year, what Cargo's done post-Humidor.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, those other guys had the power, and it wouldn't have mattered if they were playing with the Humidor or not. They would have still hit all those home runs.
Yeah.
But to not see anybody on that list since 2001 besides Cargo this year.
And he's excited about what he's done and the fact that he can get those legs stronger in the off season and really hit the ground running next spring. He's having a good at bat against Osich.
This is game number 152 for Cargo.
Most of his career.
The last time was 2010.
We said this yesterday. You and I were talking to both DJ and Cargo. So what are you most, or excuse me, Charlie Blackman and Cargo, what are you guys most proud of? And individually, separately, they both said that I was on the field for as many games as I was.
Well, I mean, for Cargo, think about it. As much as he missed the last couple of years, and he loves to play. He
And
loves
think
to
of
play the
Charlie.
game.
Early in his career, all he was battling was foot injuries.
Oh, everything. Last 2 years been special.
I just remember the quote Cargo had after that game in Arizona the other day. He goes, "This time last year, I was on crutches."
He was on crutches, and when he pressed down his hands, he had to be careful with one hand because
He had-
he had the finger issue.
Right. So every player's dream is just to stay healthy through the season. I mean, you're going to have your nicks, you're going to have your bruises and your bumps, but stay away from the big ones, the big injuries.
How many really high quality at bats have we seen today? You know, unfortunately for the Rockies, you know, Adames has seen 300 pitches and Christian's 0 for 3. We've seen other lengthy at bats. They haven't always resulted in a hit. The Rockies have only 5 hits, but Cargo's been up there for 10 minutes.
And the second to last game of the season. Sometimes we've seen these in the past where it's, you know,
done in an hour and 55.
2 pitches. Let me get out of here. Let me get try to get a hit in the first 2 pitches.
And Cargo with a base hit. He shoots it to left. Dickerson had to wait and see it through. Great at bat for Carlos Gonzalez. He's got a 9-game hitting streak going. And now they're 2 on for Justin Morneau. Boy, that's a tremendous AB.
I know that he would like to get that 100 RBI. It's going to be hard to do this. Hey, have you planned for your holiday party yet? I know I have, with unique indoor event spaces and views of the snow-capped mountains. Coors Field has the perfect space to celebrate this season. For more information, call the Rockies.
Morneau a single in the second and a fly ball in the 4th inning to center field. This is pulled to first. Low throw. Crawford's return throw not in time. Justin Morneau always busts it up the line, and he gets an RBI out of it, and the Rockies are within a run. It's 3-2.
Tell you one thing, you better really credit Crawford. This ball didn't get into the outfield. It's not a good throw from Kevin Franson at all. Watch, he's got to go down, pick it away from him on the dirt, hope he doesn't get crushed by Gonzalez, and then a snap throw over.
To who?
Yeah, I mean, there's like 5 guys standing over there. Bochy's going to go down to get Sergio Romo. He'll come on to face DJ LeMahieu.
We'll step aside with the Rockies within a run here in the 6th. And on with DJ LeMahieu coming up, and here's DJ's predictions for the postseason awards.
Well, MVPs is the easy one. I'll go with Nolan on that one. And that's all seriousness. That's not just because I'm his teammate. I think he truly deserves it. Cy Young, I'll go Greinke. Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go Matt Duffy, playing against him all year. And then matchup, I'm going to go Pirates and Blue Jays in the finals, with Pirates winning it.
So you're sticking with the National League?
Sticking with National League, yes.
And now DJ's up there facing Sergio Romo. DJ a base hit in the second, and he popped out in the fourth inning. 69th appearance for Sergio Romo.
Been in the league a long time now, back when it was known as Mesa State.
I tell you what, I looked at it, every time I see him, I flash back to the last strikeout against Detroit in the World Series. Spun another slider. See ya.
Well, you looked at those numbers. Lefties have had their fun with him, if you will, but righties have not had any fun at all.
And I'll tell you what, Sabian's very loyal to his guys.
Yes, he is.
And he'll pay you and he'll bring you back. That's why I think Lincecum will be back next year under contract, based on what I've read and heard from their front office. Very loyal.
Well,
a kid that's 2 Cy Youngs and won a lot of games.
Yep, they adore him.
And they paid him a lot of money the last 2 years. So, I mean, it's going to be a discount price till he's healthy.
And I'm sure he would take that after the
Sure
World Championships here.
Well, there'll be uncertainty. He's getting the hip cleaned up.
And he's also, I mean, it's a training staff that he's been around. They know him. He knows him. I mean, it's that comfort level as a player.
Sure. Morneau at first with 2 outs, a run in, 2-2 on LeMahieu. There's that slider, and he gets the strikeout. Sergio didn't even realize
Romo.
That's it.
Romo, that's 3.
That's it.
Romo!
Let me go play 3. Trying to play it off. Rockies get a run. 3-2. Says dealer Kelby Tomlinson hit one out to Triples Alley and took one more base than is normally allowed. He had an inside the park home run 2 hitters later. Marlon Byrd, his 23rd home run of the year to center field. Brandon Crawford took Chris Russ in deep as well. It was 3-0. The Rockies counter with a Ben Paulson home run. That made it 3-1. Rockies just got a run last inning. It's 3-2. Marlon Byrd is leading off against Russ in here in the 6th inning. And ground ball into the shift. Long throw for Adames, and he bounced it, but it was handled nicely by Justin Morneau.
He was just kind of checking Morneau out, see if he could do it or not.
And he did him a favor, too, by making that hop a long hop instead of an in-between.
Yeah. Just kidding, folks. Don't think he was actually trying to do that.
No, but he saw how hard Marlon Byrd was running down the line, and that'll cause you to speed everything up. A lot of times when you do that, you'll just overthrow it and bury it. But Justin's got him on the backside. I said, okay, no worries. I'll pick that for you.
Piece of cake, wasn't it?
Here's Crawford. Another MLB stat of the day from MLB.com. This tweet: Angels win. Teams had lost 1,761 consecutive games with trailing by 4 runs in the 9th on the road. That's a lot of games. Well, Doug handed me something earlier where it was a whole bunch. It was 479 to 2. When you're up by 4 runs in the 9th inning, you are 479 and 2 this year. Texas Rangers now one of those 2. Oh, they made 3. I'm sorry.
Who's the other 2?
No,
well, that's like an empty stat.
Hold on.
Hey, that's an empty stat. That's an
as
empty
much
thing
as you're
you
going to
did.
miss George, you love George, you're not going to miss that, are you?
But let me ask you a question. Why wouldn't, I'm at home listening, and I'm going to go, who are the other 2?
Crawford strikes out. Good
And
job
now
by Russ.
You know
at
what
2
you've
outs.
done?
No, I'll have it in about 5 seconds.
No,
you watch. I'll have it in about 5 seconds.
His fingers are flying right now. There's
okay.
smoke coming off
right.
him in that computer over there to our left. I mean, he's just pounding away.
Doug, how many times have I said to you, when you say Jake Peavy's got 222 wins or whatever it is, and he's 10th on the list, and I always go, well, then who's number 1? Because I want to know who's ahead of him. What great pitchers are ahead of him.
It looks like that,
See,
that picture
does that for me.
in typing class where, remember, you said take typing, and people are flying away, and that's what Doug's doing on that computer.
But you relish in asking
Have you already got the answer, Doug?
obscure, so he has
No,
to
you don't.
really go to work.
Doug.
He's going to be texting in now. We'll see him during Toyota Talk next year. Frazier'd like to know, when there were crowds,
First of all, let me help you out.
37,000
I will
and
not be
40,000.
texting you on Toyota Talk.
You don't know how, well, you do know how to text.
I know how to text. I'll just call you. I'm watching the game. Ask Doug, would you please?
Go ahead, George. Finish your thought.
No, I just say, hey, ask Doug. He gave that stat to you guys. I'll call you in between innings.
Sounds good.
Because you're always
within a
texting.
run.
You're texting during the game.
Ben Paulson will be first up in the 7th inning. It's time for our CenturyLink link to what's next. Game 162 tomorrow. Christian Bergman for the Rockies. Matt Cain is going to go now for the Giants, at least for a little while. We're on the air at 12:30 with the pregame show. And the pitch down low to Paulson. Ben hit a long home run to right center his last time up. Also had a ball we thought he may have hit out to right his first time that was caught by Marlon Byrd. And Romo with the slider has it fouled off. It's 1-1.
I like what Major League Baseball has done the last few years, where they have everybody start at the same time on Sunday for that drama. And as so much is going down to the wire now, every game starting at 3 Eastern time.
Rather than a team knowing.
Yeah, somebody starts at 1, somebody else at 12:30, another team at 1:30.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a great idea. Sinking fastball. Well, tomorrow they're going to honor Jeremy Affeldt before the game on his 7 years in a Giant uniform. One of the guys that has 3 World Series rings. Two on Paulson. One gone, and Dustin Garneau will have his first at bat. Again, he had to come in 2 innings ago when Tom Murphy got hurt, injured that shoulder. We have not had a more definitive report from the Rockies clubhouse. There's a question: who is your guys' best surprise player this year for the Rockies? I think about that for a moment. I don't know. I don't want to put it in the category of a surprise. Well, you know, I'm going to answer it 2 ways. I really like the work that we were discussing earlier at Chad Bettis. I think Chad has made a couple of really big strides for the Rockies, and it's going to be a top of the line rotation member starting next spring. The other guy, and this may sound crazy, but to think that Nolan was going to go hit 40-something home runs and drive in 130. Now, you figure he was going to be good offensively. He hit 18 last year, and you've seen him grow as an offensive player. But I don't know if anybody thought he was going to jump the way he did.
No, I don't think he thought he was going to do that. I mean, to go from 18 to 42, pretty good for him. I look at, you know, I know DJ had a solid year last year. He won a Gold Glove. This year he's an all-star player, going to hit over 300. So, yeah, I have the – but for me, the guy that's been given the opportunity with the injury to Justin Morneau, Ben Paulson. I look at Ben. He's got 11 home runs, 49 RBIs.
Yeah, he would fall in that category.
Well, I would think so. You know what I like is Charlie Blackmon backing up the year he did a year ago.
Yep.
And improving on the stolen bases. I know the home runs are down, RBIs a little about even.
We are now getting a report on on Tom Murphy, left shoulder strain. And hopefully it's nothing more serious than that. Obviously, Tom won't play anymore this year. And Romo strikes out Garneau.
I'll bring up Rafi Noah to pinch hit.
Good outing for Chris Russin in his final start of 2015. 3 runs over 6 innings.
5 hits. 3 of them were home runs.
for Chris Russell. 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, 3 home runs, 1 hit back. 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, 3 home runs, 1 hit back.
He had 10 ground ball outs for Chris Russell. A couple double plays.
Two strikes on Inoue. And a ground ball deep in the hole. Crawford didn't get him. Infield hit for Inoue. Good play by Crawford just to make it close.
Pretty nice job, Jeff. You've been there many times. You get over to this area, you just kind of feel like maybe the guy kind of took a wide turn. Maybe I'll get a shot at it. Got to air it out and let it go and try to get there to make the play. Crawford made a nice play on it. Inoue just outran things.
And you don't have that option to say, well, I'm halfway in this. Should I throw it? Should I not? You just have to do it.
Adames swung over the top of the sinker. It's 0-1. Contos along with Affel.
Yeah, Contos was up earlier. You know that Affel's getting ready for Dickerson. Boy, you think about it, a lot of thoughts are running through your mind when you know you're going to retire. Game's on the line if you come into this thing, 1-run ball game. Going, this is the last hitter I may face in my career. And it's been a good one.
That's a wild pitch. And now the tying run at second base. One and one on Christian Adames. I always think about this with Romo. The same thing was said for years and years about the future Hall of Famer Mariano Rivera. Guy's got one pitch, you know it's coming, and he still gets you out.
A lot.
It doesn't matter whether you move up in the box, move back, try to get it before it breaks, wait till it breaks.
Well, another guy that was in the Hall of Fame like that, Bruce Sutter, had one. Split finger. That was it. When he shook hands with you, you thought you got a hold of an octopus. His fingers are like 10 inches long. They're unbelievable.
And right back to Romo. That ends the inning. Rockies will leave Eno at second base. We'll go to the bottom of the 7th inning. The Giants leading 3-2.
Day to be out on a sailboat. A lot of wind here in San Francisco. Fans, if you've ever dreamed of becoming a Colorado Rocky, well, you can do it. Sign up for Fantasy Camp now, taking place at Salt River Field at Talking Stick, January 27th through the 31st, featuring special coach Todd Helton. Visit Rockies.com/fantasy camp for details, and special commissioner George Frazier.
I'll bury you.
And you want to know what? Both of those guys are special, and I put that in quotation.
All right, Corey Sullivan, Spilly,
Huey,
myself,
Brian Fuentes, Josh Fogg. They'll be along. There's a few other surprises that could be there, so make sure you sign up. There's not that much room left. It's been pretty exciting. Charlie Blackmon goes to center, Dickerson over to left, and Scott Oberg on to pitch here in the bottom of the 7th inning. 64th game for Scotty to appear in.
He's ahead 0-2 on Kevin Franson. And that is now 0-3. Did he foul it off?
No, just tag him. Tag him. Just walk over there, right? There you go.
Franson thought he fouled it off. He's gone. And that'll bring up Trevor Brown.
No, you just chased the ball in the dirt.
Alejandro De Aza is going to pinch hit for Trevor Brown. We saw De Aza last night. Been a strong finish to the season by and large for Scott Oberg.
Oh, another guy that's going into the offseason, knows what he needs to work on. It's to appear in over 60 games when he's been up and down 2 or 3 different times.
(2-0) on De Aza.
And just to play these extra 3 weeks, 4 weeks, the difference between a minor league season and a big league season, it's so important mentally. Play 142 games in the minor leagues, 162 in the big leagues. Those extra 3 weeks, it can be a grind at times.
3-0. That's in there. And one of the major differences, Huey, you came out of college. George, you came out of college. It's weekend intensive at the collegiate level. And even a lot of times summer ball is more weekend intensive. This is on the ground to DJ. 2 outs.
Yeah, but you have that time if something's wrong where you have a couple days to fix it in college.
And in the minor leagues, why don't you describe how the day works? Because there's a lot of work that takes
Extra work.
place early in the day, and then at night you play a game. But it's not like you just got into the ballpark 2 hours earlier.
No, there's usually a fundamental of some sort. You have extra work. Maybe one day it's the infielders, the next day it's the outfield. There's a catcher to do it, but you're taking infield, outfield every day. You're working on bump plays with the pitchers, pickoffs and rundowns. So all of that happens, and then, I got to go out and play that night too.
Well, once the game gets extended into high A to double A, you don't have a lot of Jackson Williams going to come on a pinch hit here. You just don't have an awful lot of work for your pitchers because you got a 12, 13-man pitching staff. You got to figure out a lot of that, and you're going to have some rough spots. You have guys get after you.
Who Wants Tacos? Fans follow @RootSports_RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies Taco Special when the Rockies score 7 in a game or more. 2 outs, nobody on. Jackson Williams will go in behind the plate. It appears after the Giants are done hitting here in the 7th. It's a great picture, right? You're like, wait, what's going on right there behind the stands in right field? Somebody's driving their sailboat by. Jackson Williams a double in last night's game.
He had a long year this year for Jackson. He actually went from the Rockies a year ago to the Giants, was traded over to the Giants after signing a minor league contract. Was sent to Double A as the backup after spending the last 4 years in Triple A. And then with the injuries to their backups, he got an opportunity to come back to the big leagues, and they've done okay. No former #1 draft pick of the Giants out of the University of Oklahoma, went to Broken Arrow High School.
Fouls that one back. In the 8th inning, the Rockies will have Dickerson, Arenado, and Gonzalez.
George Contos just continues to throw in the bullpen for the Giants.
And that pitch just missed. So Williams walks. And that'll bring up Pagan.
Pretty close. I know Scott was walking off the mound. Nolan, Christian Adames took 2 or 3 steps towards the dugout.
I don't even think Williams was convinced that it wasn't a strike.
He stood there for a little while, didn't he?
Quick hands to DJ, gets the out at first, and the Giants are done in their half of the 7th inning. We'll go to the 8th. It's a 1-run game. mound for San Francisco. The Rockies trailing by a run. Corey Dickerson, we asked him earlier about the postseason and the postseason awards and how he would vote.
I think Harper has the average is up there, and I think that's what a lot of people look at. But Noel's done everything else and defensively, and we got to watch it firsthand.
Good deal. Cy Young Award.
Oh, it's a tough one. Probably give it to Greinke. How hard he's worked all year, and he's had such a great year, and they made playoffs, and he don't show any signs of slowing down. So for right now, I'll pick Greinke.
Rookie of the Year, National League.
Probably Chris Bryant.
Who do you like in the World Series, and who wins it?
I really don't know that. It's a hard choice. Pitching's going to win it, of course, and I think whoever wins is going to have the best pitching, and I think Kansas City has a good chance again.
Who do you like in the National League getting there?
I think Pittsburgh, Chicago, one of those teams. Pittsburgh's really hot right now, so if they get a pretty good shot at it, I think they got a chance to run with it.
Corey Dickerson's thoughts on the postseason. So he likes the Royals, Cubs and Pirates in the National League. Nobody picking the team with the best record in baseball.
Cardinals. Over 100 wins. You know what? I just look at Yadier Molina and his thumb.
It's a real concern. I don't know. And I just can't imagine how he's going to be able to catch with a partially torn ligament. He hasn't been able to yet. You hope he does, because he's one of the most impactful players in the game. Nolan takes a strike.
I look at him hitting wise, because that's his bottom hand. The other hand sits on top of it.
Yeah.
And you got the pain there.
Nolan today began the day with a double. He's 1 for 3. Javi Lopez has been warming for a while, so this will be Cantos' last batter. You have Cargo and Morneau coming up back to back. Nolan hits it toward the hole. It's picked up by Duffy. That's a nice play by Matt. 2 outs. You should see Boch pop out of the dugout. Here he comes. 2 outs, nobody on in the 8th inning. Cargo will get Javi Lopez. (3-2) San Francisco.
4 for 22 against Lopez. Planning an event, don't strike out. Get Dinger and send an email to Dinger at Rockies.com/303. You can call him too, by the way. 303-312-2266. Do you know you can call Dinger?
Personally.
You can call a Dinger. It says it right there, yeah. For more information about having Dinger, the Rockies mascot show up for a special event for you.
George, he doesn't talk.
Yeah, he does. 76th game. You just got to know how to talk like a dinosaur, Drew. 76th game for Lopez, but he's only thrown 38 in the third innings. What's the most games appeared in with least amount of innings pitched in a season, Doug?
Here you go, Doug. Don't do it. That's
Shouldn't have brought me the note. Dougie, you brought me the note. Forever. The record.
Cargo base hitters last time up. He's 1 for 3.
Tony Fawcett has to be on that list somewhere.
That's a name we haven't mentioned in a long time. Tony Fawcett. Avi Lopez, the way he takes care of himself. He pitched like 70.
Nah, I'm thinking more like 65.
That just set up another sweeper.
Starting at the front hip. Sweep it 3 feet away.
Lopez strikes out Cargo to end the top of the 8th inning. 3-2 San Francisco. Will be first here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Our Jimmy John's delivery of the game. What Kelby Tomlinson did the first inning. He hit one out toward Triple's alley, and he just kept running, and it became the 9th inside the park home run in AT&T history. 7 of those have been produced by Giants. The last came by way of Angel Pagan hitting a walk-off inside the park home run against the Rockies in 2013. Right now, in a 1-run game, somewhat the difference. Jairo Diaz gets a swinging strike from Kelby Tomlinson, who also has a double today. Matt Duffy and Marlon Byrd, the next two. One and one. The Giants this year, typically very good in 1-run games, have not been this year. They're 18 and 28. But as I've said before, 1-run games is more arbitrary. It could be misleading.
Yeah, very misleading. By the way, Randy, I had Doug do a little research. And you guys think I try to stump him with really tough questions. He had this before we came back. Randy Schote, 80 ball games, 38 2/3. Like that, magic.
Another matchup guy.
Doug likes the challenges, though, Drew. You got to understand that. He does.
Oh, I know he does.
He gets bored with that. Well, what is he in 1-2 counts? I mean, that's, you got to throw something at him every now and then to keep his brain working. Doug, we got a little breeze here in the booth. Starting to get a little chilly, didn't it?
Swung on and missed. Tomlinson strikes out against Jairo Diaz.
Not only you got a lot of velocity coming to the plate with Jairo Diaz and the mid-90s fastball, you also got the slider and the cutter at 90, 91 miles an hour. And with those shadows across home plate, harder even more.
Yeah.
So to try to come up with a base hit.
I was just going to lead you to that. It's really tough to hit late in the afternoon in so many ballparks in the big leagues. And local time, 4:10. Duffy is 0 for 2 and a walk. Fargo runs out of room. Santiago Casilla. Swung on and missed. 2 strikeouts for Diaz. Put himself on the radar with his work here in September for 2016. Here comes Marlon Byrd. He homered in the first inning when the Giants jumped out to a 2-0 lead. All the runs in this game for the Giants, solo home runs. Tomlinson, we just showed you his inside the Parker. Byrd, and then Crawford in the 4th inning. That's foul. The Rockies have a home run from Ben Paulson. Colorado got their other run after Dickerson led off with a double. Justin Morneau on an RBI ground out eventually brought him home. Morneau, LeMahieu, Blackman in the 9th. 0-2. Swung on and missed. Diaz strikes out the side. So we'll go to the 9th. The Rockies looking for a run at least. By Southwest Airlines, book your low fare now at southwest.com. By Mike Shaw Subaru, always our lowest price in sales and service guaranteed. And by the Courtyard by Marriott, Western Elegance in the cultural heart of the city. Rockies trailing 3-2. Let's go to Jenny and Philly in our Denver studios. Jenny. You want to slap Spilly and wake him up? What's going on there?
Did you see Santa Barbara get squashed today or something?
They don't play. They don't play football.
Don't play football there, do you?
Ding, ding, ding.
There you go.
Lopez stays on to face Morneau, and he misses ball one.
Morneau, 361 hitter against left-handers in 2051. Thought he might be able to flare one of those. He's worked it into a 2-0 count.
Two balls and a strike. 407th consecutive sellout today at AT&T Park. Crowd of 41,398. And that hit the bag, but unfortunately it's still caromed right to Kevin Franson, one out. We get a pitching change here. Castillo will come on with DJ LeMahieu coming up. With one out and DJ LeMahieu at the plate, trailing 3-2. Santiago Casilla. DJ a single his first time up, a pop out and a strikeout since then. And he takes strike one at 93. We've pointed this out so many times, and now it really applies. Difficult to hit this time of day.
37 out of 43 in save opportunities for Casilla. You can hear the wind whipping on our field mics At least I can hear it in my headset. I'm sure you can hear it at home.
Yeah, very windy, and you got the big shadows and about halfway between home plate and the pitcher's mound. Here's the 1-1, and this is on the ground at third.
Charlie Blackmon in his career versus Casilla, he's 1 for 5 overall. Casilla 7 straight scoreless innings against the Rockies in 2015. 5 1/3, 4 hits. Bye, Janice. Nice working with you today.
So first at bat for Charlie. Came in for Ben Paulson. Ben was playing left field today, got 3 at bats, nothing wrong with him, but Walt thinking ahead, put him out there for defense, and he knew he wanted to utilize Blackmon at some point, probably offensively. Here's his chance to keep it going. 2 outs and a 1-0 count in the top of the 9th inning. And that's line just foul. Talking to Charlie earlier, George, it's so difficult this time of year in September. We talk about the expanded rosters, but you see some bullpen arms that you don't have a book on.
No, that's the hardest part. Now you got a book on this guy. You faced him with Casilla.
Sure.
But those other guys that all of a sudden pop out of there and you go, who's this guy?
Or you get somebody matching up with you. You went 1 and 2. You get somebody matching up with you in an inning ordinarily where you wouldn't have that kind of situation.
Exactly.
You know, the 5th inning, all of a sudden they're bringing out a left-hander to face you.
And it's not easy. Get back to that up there. They're going to try to ride the fastball up. Yeah. That seems common so much now against left-handers with a right-hander on the mound to try to get them to rise and chase after the chest-high fastball. Trouble is guys miss well above that. They just don't swing at it.
And Charlie swings and misses, and that will end the ball game. So the Giants win it on a Saturday afternoon in front of a sellout crowd of more than 41,000, 3-2. The 3 solo home runs stand up. Jake Peavy gets the victory. He's 8-6. Chris Russin, who pitched well, will finish at 6-10 in 2015. And Santiago Casilla with his 38th save of the year. 3-2 the final. The Giants over the Rockies at game number 161. We go to our Root Sports studios. Here's Jenny once again.